Um, Good morning, class. In today's science lesson, we shall discuss lists of organs of a human body. We had seen one or two human body. We were starting about the human body systems, and we had seen that each body systems has a number of organs that are performing a particular function that is important as far as the life of a human being is concerned, or any living being that is we are talking about. So we are saying that we had said that a group of tissues form organs, and we had gone on to say that several organs, when they come together, they form what we call a system. So we said that a human body has close to 11 body systems, and they work for the purpose and for the survival of a human being. So we had seen a number of these systems, and they had promised that there's a time we shall try to study some of these systems closely. Now, we were now mentioning some of the organs that are available within a human body. We have many organs, close to 79 organs. We shall mention few of those organs. When we are through with mentioning some of these organs, then we shall pick on some of the body system, human body system, and study them in depth. I had mentioned the first, we had started with the first body system. We had seen the musculatory system, and we said the musculatory system has the following organs, and those organs we had mentioned them. We had said that the musculatory system has the human skeleton. The human skeleton is there to support the body structures and to give the body shape. We had seen the joints, we had seen the ligaments. Then on the muscular system, we had mentioned about the tendons. Now on the second system that we had seen the digestive system, which we are going to start to study in depth. We had seen the digestive system has the following organs, and we said, when we were mentioning about the digestive system, we said it has the mouth. When we are talking about the digestive system and we know the function of the mouth, we have the mouth, and within the mouth we have the teeth, we have the tongue, we have the teeth, the tongue. Within the mouth we also have the salivary gland, and it has the functions. Within the salivary gland we have the parotid glands, submandible glands, we have the sublingual glands, then we have the pharynx, we have the esophagus, which you can also say the gullet, the esophagus, then we have the stomach, we have the small intestine, we have the duodenum, we have the ileum, then we have the large intestine, we have another organ called the liver, we have the gallbladder that's located within the liver. Its function is to store the bile that is used for digestion, as we shall be studying the digestive system in depth. We have the pancreas that produces pancreatic juice and so forth. Then today we shall continue mentioning some of these organs that are present within different systems that are in the body. So number 3, we had done number 1 to 2. So we shall continue with our third, number 3, and that one was the respiratory system. And we said respiratory system has the following functions. So we are saying the respiratory system, under the respiratory system, we have the following organs that are worth mentioning. We can call this organ A because we can have further subdivisions. So when we have organ A, we have the nasal cavity. Now, under the nasal cavity, shall come and see the nostrils, what happens. So we have the nasal cavity, the pharynx. We have the pharynx. Then C, we have the larynx. We have the larynx. Then from the larynx, we have the trachea. We have the trachea is part of the organ, respiratory system. And you know, when we're talking about respiratory system, this is the breathing system. Breathing system, respiratory system, yes. We have the bronchi, bronchi. Bronchi, the bronchi is in plural. In singular is the bronchus. So bronchi, and then from the bronchi, we have another organ called the lungs. So what the lungs does, it contracts. It's true. There's that contractions and expansion. And through contraction and expansion, there is a gas exchange, where the exchange is coming in, and contraction, the carbon dioxide is being released in a slightly larger percentage than the inhaled air. Then from the lungs, we have the diaphragm. And with the diaphragm, we know the diaphragm separates the chest cavity from the abdomen, and what it does, it relaxes, and then when it goes up in the dome shape, we shall later on discuss it in deep when we shall be discussing respiratory system in depth. So these are, on the respiratory system, these are part of the organs that are present within the breathing system. And we shall observe, we shall discuss it further. We shall have a correct diagram that will be showing how these organs work, the respiratory system. We can go to the next, we can advance to the next body system, and this one is the urinary system. And we have the urinary system. We know urinary system is important in excretion of some of the waste products from the body. So in the urinary system, we have the following organs. Organs that are present within the urinary system. One, we have kidneys. We shall see the functions of kidney, what it does, what it removes from the body, and so forth. Then B, another organ, we have the ureter. So we have the ureters. We have the ureter. From the ureter, C, we have the bladder. Yes, we have the bladder. And then from the bladder, we have the urethra. We have the urethra. So these four organs are important, and we shall discuss them further when we shall be looking into urinary system in depth, so that we see the functions of the kidney, what the kidney does, the way it is, and then we shall see what whether water is given out as excess water, is given out as a waste product, salt or urea. We shall come to observe that. Then we have the fifth, and with the fifth body system, we have we have reproductive systems, and on the reproductive system, we have female reproductive system, and then we have male reproductive system. Maybe we can just mention organs that are present in female reproductive system. Some of the organs present in the female reproductive system, we have we have ovaries. We have the ovaries, and then B, we have the fallopian tubes. We have the fallopian tubes, and then we have uterus. Let us have this one. We have the uterus. We can use the upper part of the board. So we had mentioned you were on the fifth body system when we said that is the female reproductive system. Then we have D as a continuation. And D, we have the vagina. It's an organ. Then what we were trying to mention, those were internal, it's a reproductive system, but those were internal organs. Then we can have external organs. And among the external organ, we have the vulva. Then B, we have the clitoris. Then C, we have placenta. We were talking of umbilical cord. This is debatable. We have the placenta. Placenta is located within the uterus, but we know it's one of the important organ, reproductive organ. We can go to the next, and the next is male reproductive organ. That one can be the sixth male reproductive organ, reproductive system. Among the male reproductive system, we have the following organs. One, whether they're internal or external, but these are internal. We have the E, we have the testes. These are some of the internal organs. B, we have epididymis. The epididymis, yes, epididymis. Then another organ that we have is vas deferens. The vas deferens. Then the fourth organ, we have seminal vessels. Those are organs. Then we have a prostate. Prostate, we have the prostate. Vessels, okay. Prostate. And then what we have just mentioned, these are part of the internal organs. Maybe you can add the external reproductive organ, external reproductive organs. These are external, you can see them. One of the organs, you have the penis, and then we have the scrotum. Yes, penis, and we have the scrotum. We are finished with the human reproductive. We have just mentioned, we shall study them in depth later. We have said that we have mentioned organs that are present within the female reproductive organ and male reproductive systems again. So we can mention also some organs that are present within the endocrine system. So the seventh, we have endocrine system. And organs that are present within the endocrine system, and we know this one's to do with the secretion of enzymes and body chemicals that are very important in the functioning of the body. So one, we have the pituitary gland. Here we have the pituitary gland. The pituitary glands. It has its functions. When we shall be looking the endocrine system in depth, we shall know the importance of pituitary glands. We have the pineal gland. Then C, we have the thyroid gland. We have the thyroid gland, and then we have another one, parathyroid gland. D, we have parathyroid gland. We shall see the functions later. Then we have adrenaline glands. Adrenal glands, we know that one is responsible for the production of adrenaline, and that one is very important as far as the actions of a living organism is concerned. We also have the pancreas. Pancreas is there to ensure that it helps also in the digestion. Pancreas is there to ensure there's a production of pancreatic juice, and it has the purpose as far as digestion is concerned within the alimentary system. So what we have mentioned on the endocrine system, we have seen it has got close to these very important 7 organs that are important in the endocrine system. We can also mention the organs that are present in the next. We have the circulatory system. And under the circulatory system, or the cardiovascular system. So the circulatory system, there are many organs that are within it that are very important for its functions. So here we can see on the circulatory system we have a list of arteries that we shall observe and study them in depth. We have arteries, the human body. We have veins also in the human body. So what we can say, some of the important organs in the circulatory system, we have the heart. Heart, we know heart is connected to a number of arteries and veins. We shall have a full diagram of this organ called heart, and then we shall see how the heart ensures that it pumps blood within the body of a human being or any living organism that is alive and has this important heart. From the heart, we have another organ is important, and this one we call them the arteries. Arteries, we shall see the characteristics of these arteries and how they differ from the veins. See, we have veins. All these are concerned with the transportation of blood from one end of the body to the next end. I know within that blood it carries a number of things, nutrients and so forth, that are required within the body. Also, apart from veins, we have the capillaries, and the capillaries, we shall study the functions of all these when we shall be dealing with the circulatory system in depth, where we shall even have a chance to draw a human heart, also to draw how an artery looks like and a vein. We shall have that time. Now, from the circulatory system, we have seen these close to 4 important organs that are important in the circulatory system. Then we can advance to another system so that we see the organs that are available. So we have lymphatic system. Yes, we have lymphatic system, and in the lymphatic system we have the following organ. E, we have the lymphatic vessels. We have the lymphatic vessels. Lymphatic vessels are important because they ensure the lymphatic fluid that is produced is passed through or transported through the lymphatic vessels. So from these lymphatic vessels, we have another organ very important called the lymph node. B, we have the lymph. We have the lymph node. Then from the lymph node, we have the bone marrow. So C, we have the bone marrow. And what we know about the bone marrow, we shall start later on the functions of bone marrow. It is responsible for the production of a number of cells, maybe blood cells. Blood cells are produced within the bone marrow. So if the bone marrow has a problem, then the creation and production of new cells will be difficult, and something has to be done with the bone marrow. Then from the bone marrow, we have the thymus. We shall see the functions of the thymus when we see lymphatic system in depth. We can also mention other organ in the lymphatic system. And from the thymus, we have E, the spleen. We shall see what the spleen does, the importance of the spleen as far as the lymphatic system is concerned. Then from the spleen, we have the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. We have the gut-associated lymphoid tissue. Yes, we have lymphoid. We have the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, and this is the tonsils. We know what happens when there is a problem with the tonsils, and then this is what we shall cover under the lymphatic system. When we study them in depth, we shall see the functions of each of the organs mentioned. Now, from this ninth system, we can go from this ninth system. We can also have 10th. We have the nervous system. Now, under the nervous system, we have the following organ. In the nervous system, E, we have the brain. Under nervous system, brain is very important as far as the nerves are concerned. We know through nervous system, even before the brain eyes have to be there to see something, then the brain will be there to interpret, then it will send messages to different nerves and so forth. Even the feeling, the nerves will pick some senses from the skin and it will communicate the message to the brain and then it will respond. But we shall study the nervous system in depth. What we are seeing among the brain, what is very important within the brain, we have some organelles that are important to be mentioned. One of them is the cerebrum. We have the cerebral hemispheres. We shall see the importance. And then also another organ, we have the brainstem. We have the brainstem, and from the brainstem there are other organelles that are important. The midbrain, and the pons. As we talk of the head, maybe the way the head is made, the way the brain is, different parts of the head, it has got different brain, and they do interpret different signals within the body, and they give different messages. We have also the brainstem. We have the medulla oblongata. We have the medulla oblongata. We shall see the function of this medulla oblongata. We have the cerebellum. We have seen the cerebrum. Then we have see the cerebellum. And the cerebellum, of course, the cerebellum, we shall study the functions of cerebellum, what it does in the brain. Then with the D, we also have the spinal cord, and you know the spinal cord is endowed, it has nerve endings. They originate from the spinal cord to different parts of the body. So we have the spinal cord. Yes, spinal cord in simple language is called the backbone. Within the backbone, there is a spinal cord. It has more nerves within it. Then from the spinal cord, we have also another organ that is important in nervous system. It's called the ventricular system. The ventricular system, just within the ventricular system, we have the choroid plexus. We have the choroid plexus. Now, choroid plexus, we shall see the functions of this choroid plexus in the nervous system. And also we have peripheral nervous system. It's worth mentioning. Peripheral nervous system. Under peripheral nervous system, here we have the nerves. The nerves themselves. Then peripheral nervous system, we have the nerves. Then under the nerves, we have several nerves. One of them we have cranial nerves. With the cranial nerves, we shall see where they are located specifically. Cranial nerves. We have the spinal nerves. We have the spinal nerves. Then from the spinal nerves, we also have ganglia. From spinal nerves, we have ganglia. We have the ganglia, and then fourth, and that was the third. Fourth, we have the enteric nerves nervous system. Enteric nervous system. We shall see that one in depth, the functions and the purpose of enteric nervous system. Then as we almost conclude mentioning these organs that are present within different systems within the body, we have number 11th, we have the sensory system. And under the sensory system, we have the following organs that are worth mentioning. One organ is called the eye. The eye is a very important organ as far as the sensory system is concerned. From the eye, we have other important organelles that are important mentioning. We have the cornea. A cornea is just part of the eye. Also, we have another part that is important, the iris. We shall see the eye, how the iris reacts, what is the functions of iris. We have the ciliary body. We have the ciliary body, it's part of the eye. Then we have the lens. And then apart from the lens, then part of the eye also that is important, we have the retina. Yes, the retina. This part of the organelles, what the eye has, we shall see the functions later on. Then another sensory organ that is important to be, we have the ear. The ear is important, another sense. And within the ear, we have what we call the outer ear. What we can see when you observe a human being direct, maybe you can see the pinna. That's what you can see the ear. We can call that one the outer ear, or we can call it the earlobe. So the pinna, or you see the earlobe. This is what we can see and say that's the ear. That's what we can see. Then we have the middle ear. We have the middle ear, and under the middle ear we have the ossicles. Even before we reach the middle ear, in between the outer ear and the middle ear, we have the eardrum. We know some of the functions of the eardrum, what the eardrum does. Then from the middle ear, we have the inner ear. Inner ear. And when we are talking about the inner ear, the important things worth mentioning is like the cochlea. It's part of the inner ear, cochlea. And then we have the semicircular canals. We have the vestibule of the ear, and so forth. So inner ear has a number of things that, unless we are studying the ear in depth, which I just mentioned them, but the fifth here we need to mention, we have the olfactory epithelium. The olfactory epithelium. We shall see the functions of olfactory epithelium. Then we have, apart on the ear, we also have the tongue. The tongue is another organ. We can call that one, see the tongue. And with the tongue, we have the taste pads. Taste pads. Now with the tongue, that one's a different organ. You can have it as C, the tongue, and it has taste buds. And we are saying a human being can have up to, the tongue can have up to 280 taste buds, but as aging comes in, the taste buds will reduce. They can reach even 70 or 80. Once the taste buds reduce, also the ability of the tongue to tell a number of tests will reduce. The last body system we can mention is that one is number 12, the integumentary system. Number 12, integumentary system. The integumentary system, it has got the following important organs. One is the mammary glands. One of the glands, the mammary glands. We have the mammary glands. And then apart from the mammary glands, we have the major one that is known. We have this organ called the skin. And then C, we have the subcutaneous tissue. The subcutaneous tissue. The subcutaneous tissue, these are some of the important things, important organs that are among the integumentary system. Now, what we are seeing, we were only mentioning some of the organs that are present within different body systems that are present within the body of a human being. And we had said that we shall pick some of these systems and study them in depth. Today, we shall start on the respiratory system or breathing system so that we see exactly what happens, what transpires. So the respiratory system. We are calling it the respiratory system. We can also call the human breathing system. What happens and how a human being is able to breathe and so forth. We are saying all living things, apart from human beings are among the living things that we have. So all living things need air to live. So breathing is very important because if we don't breathe, then if we stop breathing, then we shall cease to exist. We shall no longer be alive, but we shall be dead because we have ceased breathing. So during breathing, a number of things happens. So during breathing, we breathe in oxygen and breathe out carbon dioxide gas. It is not that we are picking from the air alone, we are picking oxygen. No, we shall pick the whole air, but when this air reaches the lungs, then the lungs have ability of absorbing large amounts of oxygen within it. We shall see that the lungs is well supplied with many blood capillaries. So these blood capillaries are in such a way that they will be able to absorb the oxygen, and at the same time now the carbon dioxide will diffuse out. So when you breathe out, you will be breathing out larger percentage of carbon dioxide gas, and you will be breathing out also less oxygen compared to the first air you had breathed in. So we are saying the oxygen we breathe in goes into the blood and enters each and every cell. Inside the cell, this oxygen burns food. Why? What is the importance of oxygen? Once the oxygen is present within the blood, this blood contains food nutrients. So it does a number of things to the food nutrients that are present within the blood. One, it burns food, and by burning the food that is present within the bloodstream, energy is it releases energy along with carbon dioxide gas and water. So once the food that is present within the bloodstream is burned, energy is released and the carbon dioxide also is released, and water, they become the byproduct of that that happening, that when the food is being burned, and is burned through another process called respiration, which we shall study it later. Now we are saying the carbon dioxide gas that is produced as a byproduct, or it is a waste product, it is released to the lungs where it is then breathed out. So once this carbon dioxide is released within the bloodstream, the blood finds its way back to the lungs, and from the lungs now, this carbon dioxide is released out. When it's released from the lungs, we have the bronchioles and the bronchus. They will be able to ensure that it goes on to the trachea, and then to the nostrils, then out. The correct formula of breathing, when we breathe, we need to use our nose, not our mouth. And it's important that when you are breathing, you use your nose, because the nose is well equipped. It ensures that it filters the kind of air that is passing through it to the trachea, then to the bronchus, and then to the lungs. What is filtered out from the nose is, one, it filters out any dust particles that are within the air. It is filtered out. Then the nose is equipped with some mucus, and this mucus is and some air to ensure that the dust particles and other things are filtered out. Then the same nose also, there is a nasal cavity that enables the oxygen that the air that is being breathed in becomes warm. It is moist and is warm, so that you don't breathe in air that is very cold. So it makes that air to be warm before it reaches the lungs. So we are saying breathing means taking in oxygen from the air. Breathing means taking in oxygen from the air and giving out carbon dioxide. Taking in oxygen from the air and giving out carbon dioxide. The two gases that are involved in breathing are, one, oxygen, and then two, carbon dioxide. So we are saying the two gases that are involved in breathing, one is oxygen and two is carbon dioxide. So we are saying when oxygen is trapped, it is used in the blood to ensure that respiration takes place. And respiration takes place, there is a burning of the food, and then there's a release of energy, then carbon dioxide becomes a byproduct, and even water is also a byproduct. So we are saying that process of burning food and releasing that process of using oxygen to burn food to release gas and water is what we call respiration. When we talk of respiratory gases, then the respiratory gases are oxygen and carbon dioxide gas. Now, so that we discuss this respiratory system in depth, we are going to have just a simple diagram that will depict the lungs. What will happen is a human being has two pairs of lungs. One situated on the right side and another one is situated on the left side. So we only have two pairs of lungs, and these two pairs of lungs are connected to bronchioles, and the bronchioles are connected to bronchus. Then bronchus is connected to the trachea, which we can call also the windpipe. Then the windpipe later on is connected to the nose, and the nose, its work is to ensure that the oxygen that has been rejected from the lungs can now be given out. So we shall have a simple diagram of showing from the nose, trachea, to the bronchus, and then bronchioles, and the lungs. And also we shall see the function of the diaphragm. We have the diaphragm that enables the lungs to contract and to expand so that you can breathe in air and you can breathe out air also. So we are going to have a diagram that will show parts of respiratory or breathing system. So we are saying we want just to have a simple diagram that will be able to show some few organs that are important, just from the nose, then maybe to the windpipe, and then to the bronchus, then to bronchioles, then lastly to the lungs, and so forth. We can say that we are attempting just to draw what happens. We are trying to draw what happens within the nasal cavity. We shall be interested with what happens within the lungs. Then we shall, as much as possible, attempt to limit ourselves and to concentrate on the respiratory breathing system. Then when it comes to digestive system, we can deal with that one later on. But we can indicate that we have what we call digestive system, but we are interested with the lungs, now we can see that if we say this is now an example of example of a respiratory system, we can start by saying from the nostrils, we have the nose. From the nostrils we have the nostrils. So we have the nose. Then from the nose we have the trachea. It is important to have these rings. The trachea or the windpipe has the trachea, we call the windpipe, has those rings that are made up of the cartilage. They are very important, and we shall see what they do. So we have the windpipe, and then from the windpipe, and then we can have the bronchus, from where the bronchus are there. Then the other divisions that we have, it becomes the bronchioles. The bronchioles are many, and there's more subdivision of the bronchioles. There's further subdivided. Then we have this one as the lung. These are the lungs. This is the first lung. This is the second lung. Then in between something that I'm drawing a dome-shaped is what we refer as the diaphragm. Yes, the dome-shaped is the diaphragm. Yes, the diaphragm is responsible. When it is dome-shaped, it enables the lungs to contract and to ensure that you are breathing out the carbon dioxide. When the diaphragm relaxes and becomes almost straight, then mean you are breathing in. And when you are breathing in, now you are taking in air, and from that air, the lungs will be able to extract oxygen so that it can use that oxygen for respiration process. That is whereby the energy will be produced when the food within the bloodstream is burned. So we have the bronchioles. Yes, those are the bronchioles. Then, so in this is just an example of what a respiratory system looks like. We have said that respiratory system, this is concerned to the nose. We have said when you're breathing in, you breathe in using the nose, not the mouth. If you breathe in using the mouth, yes, you will still breathe, but the mouth has no way of filtering the air that you are breathing in. So if you're breathing in using the mouth will not be able to filter the dust particles that are within the air and so forth. So it's important that when we are breathing in, we use our nose. Our nose are well equipped to trap the dust particles so that clean air is the one that finds itself within the lungs and so forth. So we are saying, what are some of the functions and parts of this respiratory system? That's we want to discuss the functions and parts of this respiratory system. We shall start with the nose, and then we shall see what the nose does, and that's why we are saying it's important to use the nose while breathing. Functions and parts of respiratory system. So functions and parts of respiratory system, and we are starting with the nose. Now, what does the nose do? The nose has two nostrils, meaning subdivided into two. So when you look at the nose, it has the two openings. So those two openings within the nose are the one we are calling two nostrils. So the nose has two nostrils. Inside each nostrils, it has the hair muscle. And these hair muscles is well adapted to trap dust particles from the air, and it ensures that only clean, filtered air goes to the lungs. So we have seen the function of the nostrils is to ensure that only clean, filtered air goes to the lungs. So the nose filters the air that is going to the lungs. That's okay. So we are seeing, and these nostrils openings, it has what we call the nasal passages. So the nasal passages within the nostrils have a very important functions. They ensure that the air that is being breathed in is warm and moistened, so that before it enters the trachea. So when you mentioned about the trachea, we had said the trachea is the windpipe. So you can connect our explanation to the symbol diagram we had just displayed. Then we are saying it's okay. So the air that enters the trachea is warm air, moistened warm air before it enters the trachea. That is the work of the nostril nasal passages to ensure that the air that is being released to the trachea is moist and warm. It's very important. Then we can go to the trachea now, or the trachea itself, and want to see the functions. What are the functions of the trachea? What are the functions of this windpipe? We are saying the trachea takes the air. The trachea takes the air from the nose to the lungs. That's one function of the trachea. It takes the air from the nose to the lungs. The trachea is kept open by a C-shaped rings. It is kept open by C-shaped rings, rings of cartilage. So trachea is made up of C-shaped rings of cartilage, which is okay. And this trachea subdivides itself into two branches. The trachea subdivides itself into two branches. Each branch is called the bronchus. So we are saying the trachea subdivides itself into two branches. Each branch is called the bronchus. Now, this bronchus, yes, bronchus, and in bronchus is singular, and in plural we call it the bronchi. That is in plural. In singular is the bronchus. In plural is the bronchi. So, what is the function of this bronchi or the bronchus? The bronchus has the following functions. We are saying the bronchus. Each bronchus also, it enters the lungs in each side. Yes, the bronchus enters the lungs. That is very true. When the bronchus enters the lungs from the side, it further subdivides itself into branches called bronchioles. It further subdivides itself into bronchioles. So the bronchi further, when it's entering the lungs, it further subdivides itself into bronchioles. Once it subdivides itself into bronchioles, each bronchioles ends in many air sacs. Each bronchioles has got many air sacs. It has got many air sacs. It has got many air sacs, or we have a different name of these air sacs. We call them alveoli, air sacs, or alveoli. So teeny many air sacs. That's each bronchiole has got many air sacs called alveoli. That's another name. So up to now, we have only seen the functions of the nose, and we have also seen somehow the functions of the trachea. We have not finished discussing the many parts that are within the respiratory system. In our next lesson, we shall continue discussing the functions of these many parts that are located within the respiratory system. And that is the end of our lesson today. Thank you.